Gregg County took another step today, hoping to bring more people to East Texas. The Sabine River Paddling Project aims to improve access to a 53-mile paddling trail. It currently has 2 access points in Gladewater and Lakeport. As KLTV7's Andrew Culver reports, today's step forward did not come without concern.
If you decide to do this and you are prepared to move forward with it, just know there's no going back.
Commissioners voted 4-1 to hire MHS Planning as the county's consultant to apply for 2 Texas Parks and Wildlife grants. The application fee is about $16,000. Precinct 3 Commissioner Floyd Wingo opposed the vote. He said he thinks it's a misuse of taxpayer dollars when a small percentage of people may use the river.
And this is another non-road bridge expenditure that I don't agree with. So I'm just letting you know that.
I understand where he's coming from. He doesn't want something built there that's going to be a financial burden on his budget. I think all the stakeholders will be willing to take enough responsibility for maintenance and upkeep on that facility that it shouldn't burden him.
Precinct 2 Commissioner Ray Bostic says one grant will pay for construction plans and environmental studies to build a ramp off Highway 42. The grant would be about $25,000 and requires a 25% match. The second grant would cover the construction cost at about $750,000, which also requires a 25% match. Sean Harra with the City of Longview made public comment at Commissioners Court. He says the project will not only benefit Longview, but also the surrounding communities in the area.
It's a beautiful natural resource right here in Gregg County that just unfortunately has some difficult access points. It really is just a neat natural experience as you're floating down the river, and we would love for more people to be able to experience that.
Andrew Culver, KLTV7 News.
Commissioner Bostic says the Sabine River Authority will provide matching funds if the county is awarded the grants. The project would then take about 3 years to complete. We'll be right back.